Before I continue, I feel I must mention by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultations with your healthcare professionals. We're here to share stories and give hope. Please consult your own physician for any medication questions or medical issues that you may be having. Our bodies are uniquely ours, and something that may work for one person may not necessarily work for you. Hi everyone, I'm Heather Davies, and this is Menieres Muse. This week will be part 2 in a 2-part series of a heartwarming conversation with Nicolle about her vestibular journey. If you haven't heard the first episode, I would recommend listening to that one first. Nicolle has partnered with the Hearing Health Foundation and Vestibular Disorders Association, VITA, where she donates her time and art to benefit their fundraising initiatives. Her fluid, abstract works explore the relationship between sound and life, inspired by her sudden unilateral hearing loss in 2017. After being diagnosed with several vestibular health conditions affecting her hearing and balance, Nicolle shifted her creative approach and style to illustrate her experience with hearing loss through color and movement. Her mixed media technique incorporates soft washes and mark making to create energetic yet calming, multi-layered paintings. Over the course of her artistic career, Nicolle has created several art collections, for the most part drawn from life experiences. Each particular series consists of works depicting a wide range of emotions and incidents, from life to death, from sorrow to solace, to extreme joy and new beginnings. Nicolle's series, The Colors of Sound, explores the relationship between sound and life, an invitation to consider how we make sense of our surroundings through what we hear. When her partner, a sound engineer, used his recording equipment to display the sound waves and frequencies she was no longer able to hear, Nicolle was inspired to illustrate and capture sound visually. Please welcome Nicolle. Well, what would you say was the biggest game changer for you?
Well, I think because I had to stop working, I really had to take an inventory of what was wrong in my, and even though now I say I'm busy and all that, now I put more boundaries on things I really like if I feel forced to do something, or even if somebody invites me over and I just feel like I have no money, I'm no longer afraid to say no, and I need to not be there. Or if I'm in a place where I don't feel like it's okay because of the sound, I don't feel guilty stepping out or saying, you know what, I'm gonna call it a night, I can't be here, you guys know it. And I'm not even afraid of telling people what I'm going through, because it's I have a noise sensitive situation, sorry, this is great, but I have to go. Before, maybe I would just put up with everything and not stop and just keep going and going and going. Now I feel like I'm putting more boundaries and things that I know, even for work, I would even be on the weekend, and then now it's I force myself not to. It's I can't.
Right.
If I have to deal with it on Monday, the world is not gonna end, and if it ends, then it wasn't for me.
Right.
I have to take care of my health. So I think it really made me understand that, which I know it sounds cliche because everybody who goes through something like this, yeah. But it also helped me discover, because I always say artists are hard. My dad is an artist as well. I come from a very artistic family. But before I was painting, but I didn't know really why. Now it's I'm telling a story through my work. And I feel like it really happened in a moment where my art, it gave me a breathing room to develop my art more. And that connected me to so many people and opened the doors to so many people, learned, in this vestibular community, being an ambassador of VITA. It just gave my life a real purpose, even though I always said, well, I'm an artist, but I didn't know why I was an artist. Now it's the same way people are writers, or they're communicators, or they do different things to be an ambassador. I feel like this was the right time and the right tool for me to kind of, move towards that dream of helping and connecting with people. And, we all do a little bit of everything, but it all helps. All of us together are doing great things. And I always say, if you can help one person that is struggling, one,
Right.
the same way I reach out to somebody and they took the time to explain to me. I never forget that first person who replied to one of my posts on Instagram.
Right.
She has menieres and she told, I'm here with you. I know what you're going through. Complete stranger.
Yep.
Didn't know each other. And that's a wow, she took that time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do the same. So when I feel better, and even though you're like, oh wow, that's why I created my blog, because I was getting the same questions, right? Like, oh, what are you taking? Where are you going? What type of treatments are you doing? So I'm like, you know what? I think the best way is to compile. But I think that, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, even though it's a bad thing to have experienced, it's such a beautiful thing to be doing what we're doing now, to be able to connect with others.
I agree. I have my own little vestibular family that I was in such a dark place at one point. I would never have made it out of there without them. And
I know. Mm-hmm.
and that's why I wanted to get back.
Fantastic that you found them.
I
Yeah.
know. And after I started getting my footing back and feeling a little more normal, I wanted to figure out a way to give back. And that's when I became a VEDA ambassador too. But like you said, I didn't know where my
Amazing.
voice was in the community,
Yeah, I'm so happy that you also are, because I feel like VEDA is a big family and it's so an amazing place to be. So I'm so glad that you're also part of that, because it's like a proud moment, right? To become part of that family, and they were so helpful. So even when they're just the website, by looking at the website, you find so much info that I don't think anybody else has that info, to be honest, like that library of the glossary of every single vestibular therapist and, the network they've created. So yeah, I mean, I was so lost in the beginning, super lost. I didn't know what to do. And the mental part, right? It's so incredibly tough, because you don't know how to explain to people what's happening to your body. And then after, when 6 months have passed, I remember people like coming back and like checking on me. It's like, oh, but you're still sick. Like, what do you mean? But don't you know? So it's kind of like you have to defend yourself from the comments, like, why are you not okay? Like, what? Or if you're out or you're doing something, it's still like, oh, but I thought you were still like super sick. And then it's like, I'm still super sick.
Yeah.
I have to go get my groceries or have dinner with a friend. It's such a weird place to be, so
it is. It's hard. It's really hard to explain, because I mean, we don't even understand it a lot of the time, but we just kind of
go with it.
Yep, that's all you can do.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, let's see. Gosh, we've covered so much. Oh, you know what I always ask everybody is,
I know what info. I feel like I got inspired to share, because there's so many things. I mean, and I'm sure I didn't cover many other things, but this is general.
That's okay. Yeah. We have that for another time.
Yes, for sure.
What is some advice you would give a new vestibular warrior with some symptoms? Maybe they haven't been diagnosed, or they have.
I think the best advice is being open about it. I've heard so many stories of people who don't even tell their families, because they think they're gonna be a burden, or they think like whatever situation is happening at home, this is gonna be an extra burden. They don't want to bother the family, and they don't seek help. And it's such a mistake, because on the mental front, you're just going into a depression, like you're going into a dark hole, like right there, because you don't have anybody to share with. Second, you're wasting a lot of time, because my hearing loss couldn't have been reversed. Even those 30% that I gained, that couldn't have happened if I wouldn't have gone to the ER on the very first weekend, because you only have 72 hours to get treated. That's it. Like if you miss that window, no matter how many injections, and I've learned of dozens of cases where they said, I tried the injections, but they were too late for me. It has to be within the 72-hour period that your cells are still receptive to that. Yeah, so like I was crazy. It's like almost nobody goes right there. Like they kind of wait. Like when you're coming down with a flu or something, you don't even go get a flu or get tested for that until you're like very sick. So for most of the time, you're like, when your symptoms are very bad, you're like, oh, I need to go to the doctor now.
Right.
So that's why, like, I feel like that would be my number one advice, even like, because you are gonna feel odd. Something is happening in your body. So you know something's up, right?
Right.
So I feel like you need to tell a friend, tell your husband, wife, you know, whoever you need to, but because they also need to be part of the process. You cannot do this alone. And second, yeah, because you can't waste time. And then you always have to look for a community, like what we did. I remember my savior was social media. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know anything. And I started asking questions on Facebook groups. I started requesting like Facebook groups too. And then it's like I found a miracle. When I went in there, it's like, oh, everybody's describing the same thing. I'm not crazy. This is happening to other people. And I feel that's how I got so educated from the very beginning, because I started reading everybody's journeys, everybody's stories. And you always have like that one person that checks on you all the time. Like, how are you doing? Did you go to the doctor? What did they say? And then you get those DMs and you're like, wow, somebody cares. And
Absolutely.
they're here for me. So I still go back from time to time because, you know, it's very hard though to your mentally. It's when you get out of it, it's kind of like you need some sort of separation because it becomes your life. But I do, Steve, and when I hear somebody's going through a very similar, I want to step in because it's like, I have the information. Here we go. This is what you can do. And you don't want to waste any time or any information that you've already have research. So I think, you know, I think the support groups are the best way to do it. And then having someone close to you being there for you in those appointments. Because I mean, I wasn't able to drive to the appointments.
Right.
So even in that moment, I knew like I wasn't able to be independent at that moment. So I needed to get like someone to help me to even do just regular things that I used to do, you know?
Oh,
so
at the appointments too, we're emotionally not there. We're not ourselves and we're not thinking clearly.
Yeah, no, totally. And then when they're asking you, we're gonna put you on this medication. Do you want to do this? Do you want to get the injection? You want to turn to somebody and say, is this the right thing? Should we try this? I do remember one day I was going to the neurologist and I have one of my worst vertigo attacks at the doctor's office. My fiance was parking while I was in the waiting room and my body started, the best way to describe it's like I thought I was melting, like fainting. Like I started getting dizzy, and then I felt like my body was melting on the chair. And then at some point, then I closed my eyes, and then I opened my eyes, and I was inside, and they were doing the maneuver. Wow. It was so. I thought I was
scary.
It was so scary. I was shaking. I felt like my blood pressure dropped. It was so bad, but I was right there, and they said, "Yeah, you just had a vertigo attack, like right here." So I'm like, yeah, like imagine if I had driven myself here. It's impossible. So yeah, community and being open, not hiding it in the workplace. I think now more than ever, people are super open about different conditions. And you need to, and there's always going to be the negative Nancy in the office. That always happens, or the person with the wrong attitude asking me, oh, but you're still sick.
Yeah.
You're still not feeling well. And you just have to be like, yeah, it's a condition that I manage and I live. Some days are better, some days are not. So I'm not feeling well today. Doing my best, you know?
Right.
And that's it. Yeah. I don't even know.
It's a hard conversation to have at first, but it is one I think that is, at least with your immediate supervisor, has to be had.
I don't know how people do it if they don't, because I've been in situations where I'm in a meeting and I feel like I'm out of my body. Like I'm not, and I have to say, guys, I need to take 5. I don't know if it's a migraine that is coming. I try to hold on, but like imagine like your supervisor doesn't even know it. Like what are you doing to yourself? Like you're not even helping yourself. So that's important. Yeah.
I know I had the discussion with my supervisor and they actually gave me, she's like, just tell me when you need a break. And they gave me a place where I keep my yoga mat and I would just go in there and do some. Yeah. So it was great.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's very respectful of
They worked with me until they couldn't because I got really sick, but it was great because it was a conversation and I felt like I could be honest.
Yeah, there was a moment where I went back to work right after. Yeah, it happened to me too. I tried going back to work like 2 months after where I had and then one day I was sitting there and I literally felt like like, again, like I was out of my body, that I was hearing, and I said, I can't do this. I can't even concentrate on what I'm looking at in the screen. I'm in the computer all the time. I couldn't, with a migraine, I couldn't look at the screen.
Right.
And that's where I said, I think I have to leave. I think I can't work right now.
Right.
Like, and then it was tough because and they're like, what do you mean? I thought that you had your injection. But I'm like, no, I'm really not good. Like, this is not, like, you're looking at a hologram. I'm not looking good inside. I have to, yeah. And it's what you said, like, until you couldn't really take the time, those minutes off. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's transparency. That's what I'm from all the stories and all the people I get I get messages from people who haven't even told their immediate, like, their families, and they're like, I don't know, my parents are going through a divorce and I don't want to bother them. And I'm like, no, like, you're wasting time. Even if you just go to the doctor yourself, but just don't wait. And to be open about, you have a condition, you are losing your hearing. That's true, you know. So you have to take care of it.
Absolutely. And I think that holding on to that, holding on all that inside is a stressor in itself. And it's just
100%.
make those symptoms worse, you know, the way I see it, because stress is one of my biggest triggers. So yeah.
We're in the same boat. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Don't you feel like, I can tell that you're a very empathic person, right? Like, you really listening. And I feel like when we are like that, we also take that energy from others, and we're like constantly stressing about everything around us, not only our situation, but everybody around us. So I feel like that's why we need some, like, day off. Like, I call it, like, I love being in silence at home. Like, I don't mind not leaving the house for one. Like, I feel like it's kind of like I don't know, it's like a cleanse. Like, I feel like
it is.
in even like when my biggest therapy is long showers, but like, I feel like I need to be in there in my own place, like, just by myself. It's just one of my biggest, I mean, it sounds so silly, but like,
No, I get that. Now, did you experience that before your
because I feel
symptoms
it really
too?
does take away all the stress.
Did you experience that before your symptoms?
I think because it's weird, because I'm an artist and I'm very social, quote unquote, but I'm super antisocial because I like to be, like, alone. Like, I like to, like, and I think maybe I had sound sensitivity before even being diagnosed. Maybe I had that stress, like, that I take all that emotion around me and take it, like, very personal. So I think that I've always been like that. It's just that these made me stop and think, like, oh, well, I do need to do better self-care, days for me, because I feel even more, or I take everything even, it's just bigger. The emotions are bigger for me, and the energy. So I do think, like, I have to be my own advocate and say, well, I can do that. I can't do that. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that. And it's very hard. A lot of times, just to meet up with a friend, they want to meet in the loudest place and they forget. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'll meet you for coffee, love you, but I can't go to that place. So it's like an everyday reminder to them too. So
absolutely. It just made me think, I used to say yes to almost everything. And now if I have just a little hair of resentment, or if I really don't want to, I just don't do it anymore. And if it's not, I just like
and you end up not doing a lot.
Yeah. But I like being, like, after we hang up here, I'll just enjoy the peacefulness out here. I just get filled up by it. Where used to, it was the busier I was, it would fuel me, but now it's not like that. It's so crazy how it is.
Yeah, and deadlines also terrify me sometimes, because sometimes I used to cancel a lot, like, not so much this year, but like the years before, still, like, getting out of the worst part. I would just hate to put a date, like, in time, because that would build so much anxiety. I'd be like, I'm not feeling well tonight, and the lunch is tomorrow, and now I'm gonna cancel again. I shouldn't be compromised into these things. But then it's like, I also need to see people. Like, I also need to get out of the house. So it's like the people who love you and understand will never get mad. Never got it. No worries. That's why my plans are very low key. Like, let's just have a coffee. We're not gonna make a huge reservation anywhere, anything like that. Like, because I know, like, I used to cancel a lot. So
does that stress you out, making appointments ahead of time?
It stresses me out, like when I have to go and drive somewhere and I know, like, say, because for instance, I work very hard during the week, it's a lot of hours. So like, of course, the weekends is where you see a friend or you go to lunch, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel after that week of a lot of work. So for the most part, my Fridays are the worst days. It's like like at night, I feel like my brain's gonna explode of so much information. So like I can't plan anything too early in the morning, or like say, because I feel like when I wake up that Saturday morning, it's like my body is so tired, like just mentally and physically. I feel like it takes me such a long time, even though I'm up, I feel like I'm still not up. Like it takes me a while for my brain to wake up, to be like alert. So that's why I really need to play with my times. And I know more or less like, okay, I'm more active or clear in the afternoon, or what, like I had to learn, and I'm still learning. So, but yeah, it's not easy. I think, like, thank God I live with my best friend, because we live together and I can just like, okay, today I feel like doing something, let's do something. But
That's cool.
But if not, it's really hard to do like a group plan. Yeah.
Right.
Does that happen to you too?
Oh yeah. I will get excited about my girlfriends wanting to meet in a week. I'll get excited a week, and then as it gets closer, my anxiety builds. How am I going to feel? I don't know. So I say yes, but they know that I really won't know until that day. And hopefully I'll feel better. And it kind of takes the pressure off, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to make it.
They don't give you a guilt trip, which is
Nope,
the type of friends you want.
No. Now that has whittled down. My group was large, but now it is not, so.
I still struggle with that though. I still struggle with that. I have friends who love me, and I know, but like they get a little irritated if the plan revolves around me because of the place and they end up not going. It's kind of like, well, we would have wanted to go to the other place, but so
But you're still getting invited.
Yeah, and I totally get it. But it's like, I don't do anything about it. I don't know how I'm going to feel. So I try my best, And I think this is important that we're having this conversation, because there's a lot of people who also say, no, I'll do it and I'll put up my superwoman like cap on. No, that's the reality. The reality is you're human. So
it is. I think I don't want to get choked up about it, but when friends stop inviting you because because you cancel all the time or whatever. And it got to the point where I finally had to say to my friends, because it got hurtful, that look, keep inviting me. I'll show. I just don't know when I can. It's not something I have control over. Yeah. So the friends that do still invite me and are the ones that I need around,
Yeah. I lost a very good friend. I lost a very good friend who didn't understand it. And we were friends for years. So I can relate. Like I went through a very sad phase because I couldn't understand how someone so close to you, who was there from the beginning, seeing everything that was going through you, and she's in the medical field. So it was, wow, I like, you're in the medical field, you deal with patients, you understand how people may feel with these situations, and yeah, it's true, it happens. So I get like I lost someone who was part of my life, and they didn't understand. They didn't understand this. And yes, my group has gotten so reduced. Because the majority, I mean, I live in Miami. So Miami is such a loud place. You even go to grab coffee and they're playing salsa. Like, and it's like, why? It's 8 a.m. We don't need to be listening to these, reggaeton.
But it's Miami.
But it's Miami. And I'm like, where? So I literally sometimes Google super quiet places to grab a coffee, and I find nothing. It's like, you're in the wrong city, Nicolle. But I feel like you're, because I still have friends today that keep kind of bugging me about, oh, Nicolle, we always invite her, she doesn't show up. And I'm like, I don't know how many times I need to explain this to you. But then they said, yeah, but I saw you the other day, you were doing this and this. I'm like, well, maybe that day I was feeling well.
A good day.
Like, I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
If we were friends, we wouldn't be friends. But I hear you. It's hard. Very difficult thing to do. But we stick with the 2 or 3 like friends that really get it. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you've got a great partner.
And I've also now befriended so many people in this vestibular community. Yeah. No, and the vestibular community, I have now friends that I met through the groups, and we're like very good friends.
Right.
And we plan to meet soon and things like that. So
Yeah.
you know, there's something to it. Like there's always like a connection. There's a reason why we connected. You and I now are connecting, and like,
Yes.
you know, it's fantastic to hear your story too. It's like that's how life goes. You kind of like end different stages of your life and keep moving. So
That's it.
yeah.
And next time in Miami Springs, I have family in Miami Springs. I'll have to.
Oh, you need to come
Oh,
visit.
yeah.
You need to come visit if you come to
To come
Miami.
see
We'll find a quiet place. We'll have a nice chat with a nice tea
Perfect.
or something, you know.
That
Yeah,
would be nice. Well,
totally.
let me ask you, how can we support you in the community, Nicolle? Or
Well,
where
I
can we
always
find you?
hear from the stories from other vestibular warriors. I love connecting with people. I always respond to every message I get. I find the time even when I don't have it. So via my Instagram is where I'm most active. So it's at Nicolle_art. That's where you can find me the most. I share my stories, things when I'm not feeling well. I also share a lot of my behind the scenes in the studio. And I kind of talk about how is the day if I'm struggling with symptoms, but I'm also like just working on my work, because art seems fun, right? But like when you have to, it's a lot of physical effort too. Like I paint on the floor and I have like a lot of neck pain. I have to deal with that. So it's like, it's a weird thing because it's something that I like, but it also gives me pain, you know, because of the postures and all that. But I'm there, and you can always go to my website too, which is where I have my blog, my hearing loss blog. And I also just sometimes post tips about different things I deal with and how to go around them. And it's my website, my art website, it's my blog as well. So it's Nicolle with 2 L's, Nicolle Cure. That's my website.
Great. I was just thinking of something I didn't ask you earlier. Do you, with your neck discomfort, have you had craniosacral therapy?
You know what, I haven't. And it's funny that you said this, because yesterday I was getting a massage and this word came to my mind, like the craniosacral. Like I was like, I've read about it, I know it's a thing, and I haven't really tried it. I do get massages at least once a month, like they focus here, because it's so much. My tension is here all the time, to the point that where I go to paint, the pain is irradiating into my arm. So I've gotten many other treatments that would be like part 2, because just in treatments I have like 2 hours of information, but I haven't had that. Have you? Like,
I
have
have.
you tried it?
At the beginning, I had it. It's a very gentle massage.
Okay.
They're kind of moving the fluids. I believe it's the lymphatic.
Yes.
And I used to leave out of there almost euphoric after my sessions. Just kind of,
Really?
yes. I had 4. I really would like to have another, because it's just,
I'm gonna try it, because you get the typical massage to relax the tension, the knots and all that, but that's a different type.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's,
Okay.
yeah, do it once and let me know how you like it.
I'm gonna try it. And I was thinking about it yesterday, which is super odd that you just asked me that, because I'm like, wow, I was thinking about looking into that type of massage. So yeah, I'm gonna try it and let you know how it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else you want to share before we go on to whirlwind question?
Yes, I would like to remind vestibular warriors that are listening that I was part of a documentary with Vida.
Oh, yeah.
And there's 6 episodes out there, and they're totally free to watch, and they have so much information. And I think it's good to remind people like that they can go there, because this is a very nice format. We talk about relationships, we talk about spirituality, we talk about how you feel in your body, in your mind. So I feel like, it's still kind of brand new, because we launched it last fall.
That's the Rebalance Chronicles?
The Rebalance Chronicles, like the
Yes.
Life Rebalance Chronicles by Vida. Yeah. So if you go to Vida, or you go to my website, my blog, I have a post with all the episodes. But even if you go to YouTube and search Life Rebalance Chronicles, you can find it, because it's 9 vestibular warriors like us, sharing from different points of view, from different countries. So that's one resource that it's free, that it's out there. Yeah. And I would love to hear your thoughts. So like if someone's listening and wants to share how they felt after listening to this conversation or the documentary, I mean, I'm an open book. So the same way, I think that the best way you can support me is following my journey as an artist, as an vestibular warrior, because that's how can I relate my story through my work. But I also like hearing from the community. So I love being here. I love being able to share and to learn from others, because I want to continue learning.
And I'll include, ooh, it's starting to sprinkle.
Really? Oh, okay. It's time to it's like, okay, nature saying you guys need to take a breather.
Wrap it up. I'll include all that in the show notes. And I think I always get the name wrong. Life Rebalance Chronicles. Is that it?
Life Rebalance Chronicles. I could send you a link as well. I could send you a link.
Yes, I think it's great for people that aren't vestibular warriors also, especially family members of them.
Yes. I always say that in my stories, because people tend to skip, oh, this is not with me. This has nothing to do with. I'm like, no, it has everything to do with you, because if you have somebody like me, like as a friend, this is how you would relate to this person. So I think it's more like, and they're trying, Beta's trying to get these as part of in the curriculums of universities, because I feel like even the medical community, it would be great for them to understand that not from a textbook, but from a patient's perspective.
Right.
So I think this is great. And yeah, I feel like there's little by little, a lot of people are doing great, like you with this podcast. I'm so excited that it's a menieres, like it's vestibulars, but I had not found anything. And also, let me just say before I go, it's still confusing for me, my diagnosis, because I have several that say it is menieres, that I all the boxes, I check all the boxes, but then I have others that say, well, it's secondary endolymphatic, which is not really menieres. Is you do have the pressure, you do have this and that, but it's not. So it's kind of confusing. I treat it like it's menieres, and I'm on remission, but I would love to get more information from specialists that only talk about this. I think there's a lot of talk about vestibular migraine, but there's not a lot of talk about menieres.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
Like I can't find a lot of information. The same ratio. They overlap, but it's very hard, because I feel like the most common is the migraine, which is also obviously we all have, like, it's debilitating. But I feel like the confusing part is the diagnosis with menieres, because it's kind of like, as you know, this is it's a diagnosis by exclusion. Like they just tell you, well, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this, so you have menieres.
Right.
So like, okay, got it. But what happens if I haven't had a vertigo attack? Am I gonna get it next year again, or am I not gonna get this anymore in my life?
Yeah, it's hard. And I hate even telling people when I
go on, nobody has the answer. At least, yeah, because then they think like I'm not feeling anything. It's like no, I'm still feeling the weather, but yeah, like I read about it, and then they say, well, your other ear might be affected after 5 years, and I'm like, well, I literally just turned 5 years. Like August 4th was the day when I lost my hearing.
What, so 2017?
Yeah, it was 2017. So it was 5 years. So I always get a little emotional that day, because like the day I was running around town looking for an appointment and like doing all these things. But it's been a journey of 5 years, and I just want to see the day where there's a treatment where nobody has to go through this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I will include all that stuff in the show notes. And
perfect. Thank you.
So before we go, I'd like to do a little fun thing where we're questions, or just quick questions, and there's no wrong answer.
Okay.
First one is fill in the blank. Vestibular disorders are
challenging and a blessing in disguise.
I completely agree. I know people think we're crazy saying that, but it does give you a new lease on life, new perspective for sure.
New perspective.
You feel your symptoms coming on and you're trying to be brave. What's the first thing you do?
That's such a difficult, because brave could mean so many things, right? For many, you mean to get rid of them, or to keep going when they come?
Just if in general, if you feel them coming on, what is it that you do?
I think brave now, it's defined for me as stopping instead of going. Like that would be a brave thing for me. Say, okay, well, this is the time where I have to stop doing what I'm doing, instead of feeling like one more hour, one more thing, no, I have to speak up. So that's brave for me these days.
That's a good one. What is one thing that people usually get wrong about you?
In general or vestibular wise?
In general?
In general. That I am super social. I want to be out every time because I'm an artist and I want to be talkative, and I'm not. I'm a homebody. I love being at home. I love reading a book. I enjoy silence. So they get it. They think I'm the opposite because I'm a very, like, I'm not afraid to talk and I like to connect with people, but
You're
I think I
outgoing.
prefer my alone time. Exactly. I'm like,
You're an
how do they
outgoing
call it? An
introvert.
introvert, extrovert, introvert, something like that. That's
Yes.
I think I am. But they get it wrong. They think like, but you're always out and about. I'm like, no, I'm not. When was the last time I was out and about?
You
Yeah.
can be an outgoing introvert.
Exactly. So they get that wrong. They think I'm just up for anything.
What's your favorite meal?
Just want to be home with my tea and my book.
I hear you.
Meal?
Yes.
I love, I love any type of food, but my fiance makes this tuna melt that is amazing. Like it's like a restaurant quality, and I think that's one of my favorite meals.
Aw, and he makes it for you. That makes it even better.
Oh yeah, no, I talk a lot about him, but he's my biggest support.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love, he takes care of me in a good way. He understands me 100%. So kudos to him for being there every step of the way. Yeah.
We have to savor those relationships.
Yes.
My husband's the
Yeah.
same way.
I'm glad. Yeah,
what is the last show you binged and loved?
Oof, I love a good crime show. Or like, so I love like anything. I know this is gonna sound completely stressed, like this is a stress prone, but I love detective, like cold cases. Like how do they get to the those I can't it escapes me, but in Netflix there's a couple of good shows that are about like women detectives and like cold cases.
And these are like real cases, right?
Yeah, real cases. Yeah. But lately I have been binge watching a show that is not new, Downton Abbey, that somebody told me, since you like tea, I'm like, and then the history, I love history. So that you should watch Downton Abbey.
I love Downton Abbey.
Okay, so I'm binge watching, like I'm already on season 3 and I can't stop. And I'm like, next. So I'm painting, I put it next to my canvas and I'm like,
yeah, it's
kind of like a podcast. So I have to watch it like 3 times the same episode, but I love the soothing, like how they talk and how everything.
I do too. It's so great. And then have you seen the movie yet? Or are you waiting till you get to the end?
I'm waiting. That's why I want to catch up and finish so I can see the movie, because I took a peek and I saw some of the characters weren't there and I'm like, no, what happened to some of them? So I need to,
it's worth the wait.
I need to get to the end. But yeah, I'm currently binge watching to that one. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. I will let you know how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. What is on your nightstand?
Oh God, a lot of nausea, like Dramamine, lotions, aromatherapy, humidifier, like a full self-care kit, and a book, my iPad, and a lot of self-care routines. So when I'm feeling to reach for my lavender, essential oils and things like that, that put me in a good mood after a long day.
Nice. What book are you currently reading?
I'm reading different books. One of them is The World of Creativity. It's a book that goes through history and talks about artists that were entrepreneurs first, that they think that they're always like just painting, but they were businessmen and businesswomen. So I love that. I love like a good entrepreneurship story of like hearing that the masters, they also have like businesses, or the way they went about their art practices, it was also a business. So it's a recent book that came out like 3 months ago. So I'm really enjoying it. It talks about different artists through time and history and how business and art coexist and how they're connected. Yeah.
You know what, when you were talking, I think, did you years ago recommend the book to me, The War of Art? That was you. I finally read that and I love it. So
Yes, and did you?
I loved
I'm
it.
gonna
It was
send you some
really
other
good.
recommendations.
Yes, I've actually read it a
Well, one
couple
of my,
times.
I don't know if you like, I mean, have you ever read Big Magic from Elizabeth
Is it an orange cover?
Liz
Orange and red?
Gilbert? No, it's like an explosion of colors. So Elizabeth Gilbert.
Oh, I'll have to. It sounds
Oh my
great.
God, that book is so amazing. You have to read it.
I
It's
will have
kind of like my go-to every time I'm feeling inspired because yeah, people think it's only about art, but it's about just in general, like creation, creativity, your mood. I just feel so good after I read it. So like that's a
Awesome.
recommendation, and I'll send you a couple of more.
Okay, cool. I love it.
Yeah,
I can't get
yeah.
enough of the books.
No, I love them. I love a good book. It's like it takes my mind away of all like tinnitus, and like I'm so
Absolutely.
into it. So yeah.
What's an activity that completely relaxes you?
I love rollerblading, and I
Do you
know
really? Have you done it
yes,
since you?
I had to stop rollerblading because of my balance issues. I don't do it a lot, but when I do, I feel like a kid and I feel so free. And I put on my music, and it's like the best thing. I mean, besides painting, obviously, but this is something that it's just for me to be
Right.
free. I used to be part of a rollerblading club, so every month before I lost my hearing and my balance, but because I had so terrible balance issues, I couldn't rollerblade anymore. And just 6 months ago, I tried it again around my house, and it went pretty well. So now I'm super excited to kind of do it
Oh,
again.
that's
But it's I
exciting.
love it. It makes me feel so free. Yeah, I want to do it again. Like I just haven't had the time to like spend a good hour or two out there. Like but it makes me feel amazing. So rollerblading 100%. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait till you're up and doing it. I haven't been on skates in years.
Little by little, I always go like in a place where I know there's no cars, nothing. And I'm like, but I feel so free. It's like I even put like the music on and I do it in a place where I know I'm like it's empty and I'm not gonna put my protection, my
Right.
knee pads and everything. But it makes me feel like a kid. I used to rollerblade every week when I was a kid back in Colombia with my friends and my cousins. So I think it transports me to that happy, that was a special time.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, what movie
Thank
could
you.
you watch over and over and never tire of?
Love Actually.
Love
I
Actually.
love
Good.
I love those romantic comedies. Yeah, that came to mind. So Love Actually, I think. I mean, The Notebook, obviously, but it's very dramatic. I love it, but I think Love Actually. Oh, and The Devil Wears Prada. I think I've watched that movie, not kidding, like 80 times. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
timeless.
Yeah, it could be there forever. Like I
Yeah.
could play it again and again. So yeah.
What is your most used tool out of your vestibular toolbox?
I think walking,
Walking.
walking long walks. I really, again, I feel like because so my art used to be like that when it was a hobby, but
Mhm.
because now it's like also my business and my practice and it's discipline and I have to complete projects, it's also a little stressful. So walking with, I have a golden retriever and he's like, I love him. We
Oh,
just go for long walks and I play with him and that completely relaxes me. I do it in the morning, first thing in the morning before going to work. I try to wake up earlier so I can get that. And then when I'm having like a long painting session that I need to get up and stretch, I would go outside and just put on relaxing music or a podcast. I love listening to podcasts,
right.
like this one. Uh, and I just put that on and just kind of let myself like relax and think of other things. And yeah, that's definitely, I mean, of course, there's hydrating and
Yeah,
meditation,
right.
but I see just walking, it's so easy, free, and it really relaxes me.
It does. I find if I'm getting in a funky mood, I just get out there and walk. Just
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it out.
Yeah, and sometimes I try not to look at my phone because you know if I'm listening to a podcast or music, I'm looking at my phone. But like sometimes I leave it at home, like because it's around the block. I leave it at home
Mhm.
for a purpose, so I literally just look at the trees and the
Right.
flowers, and I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah,
I need to be here. So or take pictures of photos and flowers if I have my phone and things like that. Like that's relaxing.
it is relaxing. What's something you're extremely grateful for right now?
My health because I still remember those days. The first days were the worst days, and being able to even be here with you, have a conversation, and not being in bed, throwing up, like having a horrible headache. I truly appreciate every day. It makes me emotional.
I know.
It makes me emotional because it's like we went through so much. It's hard. It's easy to forget. But when you have a bad day again, you're like, oh my God, I've improved so much. Like it's night to day. It's another story. And then like I try not to forget about it. You know, like, or sometimes I don't say it like in a victim role, like, oh, I used to be so sick, but like I was very sick. And to be back here and be able to say, yeah, let me go walk and play with my dog and like go on and go to the movies, like that's an improvement.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I would cry every day in my shower. Like it was the only moment I felt like I didn't want to feel like a burden, and I would go in the shower and cry and cry. And I feel like, when is this going to end? I can't walk. I can't be independent. I have to hide in the closet because of my sound sensitivity. And there was a moment in time that I would write and I said, I don't think this is changing. I don't think this is coming to an end. I feel like I'm living the same day every day. Until one day, little by little, things started to get better and see the light. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gaining my life back. So, but yes, there was a moment where I didn't see it. I thought I was going to be like that forever in bed and not functional.
Right.
So,
And here you are.
and here I am.
On the other side, yes.
On the other side, excited about my life and working on new art collections and trying to get out there even more, put my work out there, help others. So I'm happy that this place, with challenges and everything, right? We have that bad days, but overall, I'm very thankful for where I am today. So.
Well, thank you for being a voice in this community. We need them. I know back when we first both were sick, there wasn't a lot out there. And now it seems like it's more. I mean, so we can just, keep spreading that awareness. And
no, and thank you that we're here telling this story, and I'm sure you're helping so many people. Like so many people are going to listen to these episodes and they're going to feel not alone. Like they're going to feel like they can even reach out to you or to me and get somebody to listen and to recommend something. And that's so valuable. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to following you and seeing what happens with everything in your life.
Yes, me too. I want to continue hearing all the stories. And yes, I'm here. If you ever need anything to help with anything, I'm here to help the community. So I'm very, very happy to have connected with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nicolle. And it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me, Heather Davies, and my guest, Nicolle, on this week's episode of Meniere's Muse. If you would like to reach out, please see the show notes for our email addresses, websites, or find us on Instagram. If you would like more information on vestibular disorders, please find the VITA website at vestibular.org. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if this episode or any others resonated with you, please take a moment and share this with another vestibular warrior or family member. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Meniere's Muse for updates. I'll see you next week, warriors.